right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Candidate. Tonight's candidate is the incumbent for Principal Chief, David Hill. Chief Hill, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the invite, Jared. Appreciate it.
All righty. We're starting a little bit early, maybe like a minute or so, 30 seconds or so earlier than usual, but I want to remind everybody we're taking questions from the chat. And so if you have a question for Chief Hill, pop them into the chat there. And I don't see any questions yet. So what we'll start off with is, Chief, do you give us a roadmap for if you're elected for your second term, what does a second term for Chief Hill look like?
Well, my platform from 4 years ago was Progress Prosperity. So I guess you could say Progress Prosperity Part 2.
All right.
It's we got a lot of stuff moving on. Even now, we got a lot of stuff going on, and just want to make sure those are completed and just keep moving forward. A lot of new things that we have in mind, and some of the things we've already done just started recently. So I don't know if you've seen the legislation, but when me and Second Chief first got in office, we noticed that the cultural and archives were in one department, the language in a different department, and we just wanted to combine both of them, and that's just recently did that. A lot of stuff that we wanted to do in the first 2 years, first year basically, but just kind of a wash due to COVID. That kind of took up everything we was wanting to do.
Yeah.
It hampered us a little bit, but there's little stuff we did in between that I think we still move forward. I know we lost a lot of citizens through that time, hard times too.
We've had a question pop up here while we were chatting. Michael Harjo asks, he's Chief, what did you do different coming in as chief than other chiefs who came in as far as transitioning into the position and picking your cabinet?
Good question, Mike. When me and Second Chief came in the latter part of December, Second Chief Lloyd and Second Chief Lewis Hicks was going out. We probably had about a day, almost 2 days transition. Once we came in, I guess I'm the first chief that's ever done this. I put out all the positions out in to open for anyone to apply for, all 12 of them. I know Second Chief was probably ready to strangle me. We had 136 applications, and we interviewed 81 81 for the cabinet members. Some applied for 2-3 positions, but that was almost a month and a half just selecting cabinet, because how most come in already have their cabinet selected. But I wanted to see who was out there. We did the interview, selected the top 3, and the second interview team consists of 3 females who were attorneys. The other 3 were males, who 2 was former council rep, and 1 worked for 3 or 4 administrations. And there was a second interview team. And what was ironic that 10 out of the 12 they selected the same ones we did. The last 2, it was three-way tie. They said either one, chiefs that you pick, we feel that'd be a good position for that. And that, I guess that would be something different that any administration coming in had done. And also it was equal. It was 50-50 split, 50 female and 50 male cabinet members. So it just happened to come out that way, and it worked out great, I thought. Right. I know it was a long time, month and a half, almost 2 months to have it done, but I just wanted to see who was out there who were, Creek citizens that wanted to apply. It was different.
Absolutely. We were talking too about the cultural legislation that recently passed that restructured the executive branch and brought all those. I've had some citizens ask me some questions about the secretary position that was created there and the fact that it's a lifetime appointment. Would you touch on that? Like, what was the idea behind that being a lifetime appointment, and how is that person going to get picked, and kind of in a general way to clear that up for citizens?
As of right now, as soon as that passed, we didn't want this position to be politically motivated. When a new chief, you get a new one come in, and that's why we kind of designate as a lifetime to pick someone with the history, the language, the culture of it. When you have the momentum going, you hate to stop and start over, and that was one of the reasons why. But there will be kind of like uh, 4 or 6 months, but there'll be a committee over that. As of right now, we and I took me out of it. I'm gonna have a second chief and chief of staff. You'll have a selection committee, and you have one department from a cultural preservation department, one from the archives, one from the language department. They'll be the ones to select um, this individual as secretary. Now we do have two selection of the ceremonial grounds. We have reached out to the Micos. I still got two or three to reach out, but who would they select from, their ground? If they want to participate, it's up to them. If they don't want to, but we want to pick the best one. And that committee they're doing the job description now
Hmm.
and review that and open that up. And once that's selected, they'll be the one doing the interview.
I
I'll
see.
step away, and I think Speaker selected two council reps to serve on this committee. I think it's like seven of them, and
Hmm.
let them do the selection. And we just want to keep the politics out of it, and hopefully that this individual, they have to know, the language, culture, the history, anything related to the NAGPRA law, and we just want to select the best person,
And,
or
and
they will. Yeah.
right, and we should mention too for the audience that the right now the acting secretary in that position is Raylan Butler. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And she was previously in charge of cultural preservation.
Culture.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We've had a question pop up while we were talking about that. Kate Matthews asks, your previous campaign platform was employee support. So during your current administration, what plans of action were implemented against the mistreatment or wrongful terminations of employees?
One of my platform, and she is correct. One of the things I wanted to bring was trust to the HR department, because as a council rep, we hear all these complaints, and they're afraid. The employees are afraid to go to HR. So we did the same to interview. I wanted to get the best person in that because as a HR, you have to do what's best for the employee, but also do what's best for the citizen, and you also want to protect them. But things didn't go as planned. So I had to get a new HR director in there. That we have to, protect both the employees and the citizens. So you have to regain that trust back. And I know me and the second chief get a lot of calls about it, and we always direct them to HR because I feel that in our position we need to kind of step back away from that, not to be politically motivated, but we have a system to go through in the HR.
I see. We've had a question pop up here. I'm gonna want to clarify this question a little bit, just because
Mm-hmm.
there's a claim in here that we haven't substantiated fully yet. But Bristow MCN Monitors asks, in a highly suspicious move, the MCN election office is not going to allow real-time election results posting. Since the MCN pays the bill, do you concur with this election office policy? And I want to tell everybody, we haven't confirmed that yet. We haven't actually received any word from Nelson Harjo Jr. About whether Mvskoke Media is going to receive the live election results or not, just to clear that up. But what I guess the question would be, Chief, do you think the election office should be posting real-time results as the results come into the election, or should they do it like how they did it last year, or last time, where they just posted it to their Facebook?
I think it needs to be real time myself. That's what everyone's waiting for, even the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a question, like you said, to reach out to election board, see if maybe the media may be allowed to go in. I don't know. That'd be a question that, like I said, they're kind of independent, so I'm there for support. But that may be a question to ask them, to
Yeah.
have it real time.
And just to touch on that a little bit so the audience has an idea what's going on with that. In previous years, the company that the election board had contracted with to count the ballots, they had a web page, a link to a web page that had active results updating there. And Mvskoke Media was able to get that link. And if you look on our past live streams, that's the information. And then I think it was last election, there was a change where that, I don't know if they changed vendors or what happened there exactly, but they decided they were just going to post results to their Facebook page. So that's the change that we're talking about. Brian McIntosh has posted a question while we were talking about that, and he asks, wondering, what sets you apart from the other candidates as you seek re-election?
Ooh, I guess my 12 years as National Council representative, I served in that position, and 4 years actually as a second speaker, and falling into the chief kind of gave me more experience and knowledge of what actually goes on. And also with all since the COVID and the Supreme Court ruling, I rather call it that instead of McGirt, Supreme Court ruling, that with all the connections that we had with the state level, the DC level, and attending all these NCAI, OIGA, FedBar, there's some panels I had to sit on to discuss the Supreme Court ruling, especially protecting our sovereignty, and all these connections that we made that I would feel that'd be the only advantage, the advantage that I would have. But that's probably what it will be, the experience and as far as all the connections that we made through the state and government level.
All right. We've got another question pop up here. Bristow MCN Monitors asks, because of the MCN's Attorney General Jerry Wisner's sanctioned and fined attempt to intimidate the MCN court, why have you not terminated her employment?
Well, when that come up, I seen that in the paper. I did skim through the transcript, but not being there in person, how it was presented, just reading through the transcript, I really didn't see any type of thing to where she needed to be terminated, to be honest with you.
Okay. So going forward with your second term, is there any concrete legislation that in the next 6 months, next year, that your office would bring to the council that you could kind of detail a little bit, or is all that stuff still in the formative stages?
As far as concrete, just any type of legislations coming through, or
yeah, I mean, we've just seen this big restructuring legislation come through for the cultural departments of the nation, and is there anything that's going to be like that coming through?
We also, I don't know if you noticed, a couple of months ago, we had we had a Secretary of Nation and Secretary of Commerce / as one. We actually separated that. So we truly, with the growth, it's Secretary of Commerce now. And we did a couple of interviews with a gentleman named Guy Barker. And he's real knowledgeable on the business side. Again, me and second chief get approached, the council get approached with all these business proposals. We all don't know all the business aspect of it, but this gentleman that we have as an acting Secretary of Commerce is business oriented. He's already shown a lot of questions that we brought him forth in front of a kind of like a joint venture with someone. He asked a lot of hard questions that I wouldn't think of. So I'm anxious to see on the Secretary of Commerce more proposal, more business development. Kind of anxious to see that coming through. So I anticipate some legislation coming forth. We do have 2 projects that's coming forth where we presented to the council as verbally, but not as legislative. So there'll be some business opportunity there that I can't disclose right now, but
Right.
I'm real anxious to see how we're going to go forth on this Secretary of Commerce.
Well, while we're talking about Secretary of Commerce too, what does this new Secretary of Commerce position have oversight over exactly? Because I know that there was language in the bill that kind of talked about having oversight over all of the economic aspects of the tribe? What is that position going to oversee?
Oversee, just starting, the let's just, for example, the Loop Square. After 2 years, he'll come back to the nation. He'll have oversight of that, and as well as any business opportunity that comes along. Um, he'll, like I said, you always admire what Chickasaw did. The politics are stayed away from it, and that's where we got to get to start moving forward and to grow. I mean, we have got to grow on our business side. We can't always rely on gaming, but just the opportunities that we can do on the economic business side of the nation. So he'll be overseeing that, provide us details and the council what's moving forth, and what with his experience, either it's a go or no go for the nation.
Okay. We've had a couple of questions pop up here. Kate Matthews asked, in the incident of our breach in data, why haven't us citizens been given a full disclosure of what occurred? How was this ransom paid, and what funding was it paid out from?
That was back in 2020. I know the council has on their website, I guess, the full investigation on that. But in preventing that, we have, I will say that there was not one employee or citizen data breach or anything, no information or whatever. But it was paid out of insurance. It was just 24,000 to once that come out. Overall, it was 24,000.
Just to clarify for the audience too, where did the advisement to pay that ransom come from?
When it was brought to my attention, my job as principal chief is to protect the nation. Did have a discussion with, I got calls from the FBI about it. They kind of did their investigation on their side, and without locking us down, because we was totally shut down, the nation. And with their advice, this was the best thing to do, especially when it's covered by the insurance. As you can see, it not only hit us, just because our email, our domain has .gov. There was attacking all the ones that had .gov or government related to it. Tulsa got hit. There are a lot of my meetings at NCAI. I know a couple of other tribes that got hit as well.
Okay.
With a lot more that they had to pay.
Yeah, right. We've had another question pop up. Eufaula MCN Monitors asks, 14 homeless Mvskoke families were forced out of the Days Inn, and some had children on the same day you took photos with Tulsa Mayor about the river investment. Why did the MCN not help the evicted?
Well, I was not aware of that as far as the homeless. I know we get a lot of calls about homeless, and we do try to put most of them we can in hotels to get them back on their feet. That is a problem, not only here. I did speak with some of the departments on what we can, how can we prevent this, keep them from being homeless, and even our veterans. So that is a big issue, not only Mvskoke Creek Nation, but Tulsa and everywhere. Yeah, that's the first time I heard of that one.
Okay. I don't see any more questions popping up. I'm going to go on ahead. If you guys have questions, you know where to put them. I did want to mention Big Rob made a post earlier that I'd like to echo. He says, hit that like button. So if you guys want to hit that like button, and then you can subscribe to the channel to get notifications when we are doing a live stream or when we post a video. So Chief, let's talk a little bit about, because in Second Chief's interview, we talked a little bit about the development on the river there around the casino with, oh wait, we've had a question pop up. Eufaula MCN Monitors asks, twice you submitted Carmen Tecumseh Williams for management positions, and twice she was voted no from the National Council. Why did you create a position not sanctioned by the council for her?
With the growth that when we first came in, because as you can see, it's hard to kind of struggle getting cabinet members in, secretaries.
Hmm.
But with the growth, we just grew too much on the human services department, the housing, interior, secretary of education. So in order, because I have to think ahead, that
Hmm.
who would else if the new administration come in, the deputy secretary is going to have to know just as much
Hmm.
as the. So we had to separate a lot of departments. I think Secretary of Education has 16 departments. Human Services have about the same, 16 or 18. We just outgrew ourselves. I mean, I always explain that we grew without growing with it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, but that was, it didn't create it just for her. That was already in that position. All of the deputies, I think Deputy of Interior is probably the only one that's not yet currently working on, but that was a reason why. It wasn't specifically for her, but um, we try to create deputy for all the cabinets, those that needed, those that had a big programs underneath them.
I see. And we should probably talk about that too, because you did have in your first term a lot of trouble getting people confirmed, and there was people that you put up and then they couldn't get them confirmed. What do you think was the cause of that, and what do you think is the solution to it?
I have no idea. Be honest with you, a lot of them that I selected, there were several that the same ones that Chief Floyd had that I even voted yes for, but a couple of them got voted no. But I couldn't tell you why. Probably the ones that voted no probably could, but um, probably just going in, reelected again, I'll just put them straight back up in January.
Hmm.
But I was wanting to be fair, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, that I want to be fair to interview the best ones for those positions. So that's why I took probably 2 months to select a cabinet member. But this time I'll just put them straight back up in January.
I see. So with that process, let's just so we can see the nuts and bolts of that. So it's like you would put up a nominee and then they wouldn't get confirmed. Were you like in meetings with council members to try to get those votes, get them to change their vote, or would you say like, why don't you guys like this cabinet member? Like, was there, or do you guys have suggestions, that type of thing, or was it like no
There was some.
communication?
There was some that I did talk to, some that did vote no, and some that voted no. What could I have done different? But I served on the council 12 years, and majority of them I served 12 years also. Uh, I thought, where my heart leads or what's best for the nation on how I selected, because we also did, as a council rep, we also did selection too for the chief. But I couldn't tell you why, to be honest with you. Um, I guess they're the only ones that could tell you why they voted yes or no.
I got you.
But during the interview, that was the time to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was some that probably got one or two questions, maybe. Some that got more, but um, there was some that probably got none. But then they voted no. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. We've had a question pop up here. Kate Matthews asks, what corrective measures have been taken to prevent the nation from losing grant funding for some departments due to late reporting?
As of right now, we're going to hire more. Got with the finance department, in which she kind of encountered this, and when she came in, the new controller. So just playing catch up from the previous one, and that's all we can do. And hopefully, it just be just that one grant that will be not. I don't want to say postponed. Probably for a year. We're hoping just be
Okay.
on probation, and get everything corrected. Because last year, when I first got notified that some of the grant reporting wasn't being turned in, um, I called the previous controller. What's where's the bottleneck? Where do we need to help?
Mm-hmm.
But when the new controller came in, it was that, hey, let's hire more people or let's train them. What do we need to do to get back on track? So we're uh, going over that little hump right now, and we'll be on track.
All right. We're at 25 minutes, guys. So I want to remind you guys we're going to do about 30 minutes here, unless you guys really want to keep going and asking more questions. And while I was saying that, a question popped up. Tulsa MCN Monitors asks, the former Principal Chief Floyd bought his own truck and used it for official business for the MCN. Why did you have the MCN buy an expensive SUV instead of using your own personal vehicle? I don't know if that's true. In that question there, that Principal Chief Floyd bought his own truck and used it for official business, but I guess you could answer that last part. Why did you, or did you have the MCN buy an expensive SUV instead of using your own personal vehicle?
It's really the lowest grade, according to the child administrator. But um, the ones that they did have assigned to the principal chief, I guess former Chief Tiger, they had me driving that, and the door handle came off, and all, so it was hard to open, and they said, "Well, you're gonna have to need something to drive, especially when dignitaries come down." And it has come in handy. I had to pick up dignitaries, show them around the complex, and in which I drive a 2013 Honda Civic CNG gas. And you see it
Mm-hmm.
parked out there. That's what I drive. But usually it's just business wise. Go straight to meetings, come back. I mean, I got it parked out. I got my Honda parked outside. You want to see it?
All right, Chief. Well, we got 3 minutes left, guys. So if you got a question, pop it in there. I'm going to do maybe two, maybe three more questions. Chief, we've talked about legislative changes that are coming. Is there anything that you're going to do with the executive branch that wouldn't require legislation? I know that other candidates have talked about the need to expand housing or maybe in the health system. Do you have any plans that are going to not necessarily have, we wouldn't see any legislation on, but will be coming out in the future anyway?
We're expanding. As you can see, we opened up a tag office in Coweta,
Mm-hmm.
Tulsa, Okema. We're looking at property in Muskogee. We need to have satellite offices also with our light
Mm-hmm.
horse. Now with the expanded areas or jurisdiction that we have with our light horse, when I got in office, just had a little bit over 30 light horse. We're over 80 now.
Mm-hmm.
And with the cross depth being a problem in some of these local communities,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have to hire more. And that's kind of the problem that we've been having. And we just got to expand. Like I said, we sometimes I'll give you an example of tag office. We had a lot of people in now that it's open to everyone that lives in Oklahoma. Uh, we have to have offices around. It's hard for an individual from Oklahoma City to drive all the way to Okmulgee,
Mm-hmm.
and which you can renew it online, but when you first buy your tag, you have to come in person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we go out and reach to them, like we did in Okema, hopefully we can do one in Holdenville. Looking at Eufaula, Muskogee, just have to go out to them where make it more. It's closer to them to instead of driving all the way back to Okmulgee.
Absolutely.
So just those are things we're expanding. Even other services, social services, housing may have individual there, similar to what we did with Wetumpka, our SRO.
Alrighty. Erica has asked or a couple of questions here. The first one, she says, do you have any plans for any future economic development? Erica, we kind of talked about that a little earlier when we talked about the Secretary of Commerce. So later you can rewind to that part and check that part out if you missed it. And then her second question is, she says, we need self-sustainability. What did some of that with COVID ARPA funds, but what are the other plans, the big picture?
Some of them we got to use, like I said, Loop Square, economic development, but also gave us opportunity. It gives us opportunities to work. I don't want to say with the state, but there are some municipalities that want to work with us. Um, we even had, the relationships we got in Georgia, Oxford, Emory. We even had Macon, Georgia. They said, well, "Is there any way you can build a Loop Square meets processing plant here?" They
Mm-hmm.
people are wanting to work with Creek Nation, and that's one of the opportunities. As I mentioned before, we presented 10 projects to the council in a kind of like a work session.
Mm-hmm.
Two's already been marked off. The DHS building that just north of Okmulgee,
Mm-hmm.
we purchased that, and also the Mvskoke Hospital, Doctor's Hospital. We purchased that, and that's hopefully be a drug and alcohol rehab center.
Okay.
The other two, like I said, the other two business are I'm gonna say probably 75% complete. Just kind of finalize it, and the other six we had to scratch one off. It didn't pan out, but the rest are like I said, any type of kind of like a joint venture plus. That's what's been discussed. We own 51% of it, or how we're gonna work it out. Those are details we have to work out, but that's some of the other projects that we got going for economic growth. Now, sustain. Uh, if we do that, I think that'll help us for the future growth of it.
Okay. We're over 30 minutes now. I'm going to ask this last question. Tulsa MCN Monitors asked, why not have all positions like the new Department of Cultural and Humanities be lifelong appointments also? Who have you slated for the new lifelong manager of Department of Culture and Humanities?
Again, I took my name out for that selection for the manager, as you had mentioned. Raylene Butler is the acting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, provided she may apply, she may not. It's her decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I took my name out to keep the politics out of it. But as far as the rest of the cabinet, maybe in the future, I don't know. Maybe you could just do the same thing. Just let the principal chief come in and select who they want. I know it's from what I had to go through. It's time consuming trying to select one to get it passed. That's just part of it. Though. That's part of the law that I have to go through the council.
Okay.
But as far as the cultural, I won't be in that selection committee.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chief, for coming in tonight. I really appreciate it. And you guys, I want to give you an update on what's coming up. Tomorrow, the 16th, Robin Whitecloud, she is a candidate for the Okmulgee District, and her meet the candidate is at 6 p.m. Thursday, the 17th, Dodie Barnett has her meet the candidate at 7 p.m. She's a Creek County candidate. And then the 18th, we have Lahoma Schultz. She is a principal chief candidate, and her meet the candidate is at 6 p.m. And then next week, on the 21st, Sandra Golden, who is a candidate for second chief and is a seated councilman right now, her meet the candidate is at 6 p.m. So if you guys want to tune in there and ask questions, jump right in and we'll do it. And if I missed your question tonight, sorry about that. But, we got to stay a little bit on time. Everybody's busy. So, Mado, and I'll see you guys later. Chihicha, please.